So in the previous lesson, we learned how to use the pen tool here in Illustrator to lay down some base shapes here. Now, I believe in the previous lesson we worked on sort of a shape for the face and a shape for the chest and sort of the neckline here of the shirt. Now, in between lessons, I went ahead and used the pen tool to sort of trace around the basic body of our model's hair here, as well as her hand down here. Now, at this point, I'm ready to go ahead and think about her shirt. Now, if we go ahead and hide all of our layers here, thinking about the direction for this illustration, the shirt here is really nice because it actually, if you look at it, this white shirt on a white background, really the shirt is defined by the areas that are collecting shadow. And I think that really is kind of intriguing about this image, that it almost borders on a two-dimensional aspect of it. If we were to just maybe just illustrate only the shadows of the shirt on top of maybe a white shape, really the shadows are going to define that shirt. So it's really kind of this area between 2D and 3D that is kind of intriguing. So let's go ahead and kind of work towards that at this point. I'm going to come over here and let's go ahead and make a new layer here. Let's just go ahead and call it shirt base for right now. And I want to come in here on this shirt base layer, and let's go ahead and bring back all of our other layers here. Keep in mind we are still in outline mode, and if I jump out of outline mode, you'll see here that we're still not even really dealing with color. We're only dealing with shapes. So really all of our shapes only have a white fill and a black stroke around them, nothing more. So I'm going to come in here now, and let's just go ahead and lock all of our layers except for that shirt base layer, just by clicking and dragging down in that lock column. And I'll go ahead and jump back into outline mode for this. Now, the keyboard shortcut for the pencil tool is N, and the pencil tool is a bit different from your pen tool in the fact that the pen tool allows you to make precise shapes by clicking and dragging out the Bezier handles. The pencil tool is going to make a more free-form shape, a more organic shape that follows sort of the motion of your mouse, or in my case, my pressure-sensitive tablet and stylus. So at this point, looking at her shirt, we'll just zoom in on that here. The shirt is the shirt. I don't think the wrinkles have to be precise. The wrinkles, if they're off just a few pixels, it's not going to really make that much difference. So I'm more interested in laying down this shirt fairly quickly here. So I'm going to come in here and just click and drag and begin drawing in the shirt. And, looking here at some of these areas where these shapes overlap, say for example here where her brassiere overlaps, sort of this line for the neck, notice that I wasn't real concerned with fitting those two shapes together. I overlapped them. We're actually going to fit these shapes together here in just a little bit. So you can see I also did that same thing down here when drawing her hand, where it fits up against the shirt. So we'll worry about fitting these shapes together precisely here in just a little bit, but I'm just going to click and drag and begin drawing my shirt shape. And we'll just kind of drag that down and sort of try and just trace around these wrinkles as best as we can for right now. And I'm going to stop right about there. I'm going to just bring that in and around. And we're just going to kind of trace over just a section of the shirt for right now. Let's come over and draw in about like that. Now I want to come back up here towards where I started this path, and I want to hold down Alt before I release. Notice the cursor next to the pencil changes from an X to a little O. That means we're going to complete the path when we let go of it here. So in letting go, you can see here that that path is completed and it's left selected here. Now, you may also notice here that I've got some little green markings on my screen. I'm actually switched over to Smart Guides, which helps me line things up. If you actually want to turn yours on, you can find those under View, and right there they are, Smart Guides. It's also the keyboard shortcut Control-U. I switch in and out of using that a lot of the time. So right now they are turned on, and I've got this completed shape here. So the pencil tool has some options. Notice here that if we zoom in on this, it's pretty much picked up really closely on the shakiness of my hand for the most part. Now, the way to access the options for the pencil tool is just simply to double click on the tool. Now, in doing that, you can see we have tolerance settings here in fidelity and smoothness. The fidelity being how far Illustrator is going to try and distance the anchor points apart. I've got that set pretty low. I've also got the smoothness set very, very low at 0%, being that I don't want Illustrator to try and smooth out my path for me at all. We have some other options here to have Illustrator fill new pencil strokes. We have options to keep them selected, and then we have one for editing selected paths within a 12 pixel radius. And I'm not going to use the pencil tool much in this course for editing paths, just drawing new paths, and I'll actually probably be using it quite a bit more when we get into drawing in some of the value and the tonal shifts in our character here. So but as of right now, you can see here that we've drawn it, or used it rather, to draw a completely closed shape. Now, one great thing about the pencil tool is that by holding down the Alt key with the pencil tool selected, we can access the smooth tool. Now, the smooth tool is actually really handy and a really good companion for the pencil tool. Let me come over here, and you see we got this little bitty area right here where it's kind of got this knocked out little indentation in it. If we wanted to smooth that out, all we got to do is hold down the Alt key and just kind of brush over that, if you will, with the smooth tool. And we're going to start smoothing that path out. So if we zoom in over here, we can do the same thing to this little area right here. Just smooth that out just a little bit. So now, I want you to also notice here that the pencil tool works a lot like the pen tool in that we can hold Control and switch over to one of our selection tools. Now, notice here that I have my normal selection tool. If we go ahead and switch to the direct selection tool and then to the pencil tool, it's going to work just like the pen tool. We can access our direct selection tool. So that's actually my preferred method of using the pencil tool here. Let's come in here and continue drawing around her shirt. I'm going to come in and start a path right about here. We'll just come on down over here and bringing that up, and we'll bring it around, and we'll complete that shape right about there. I'll go ahead and hold Alt and close that path off. Now, if I wanted to come in here and make some changes to the path, let's say maybe around her knuckles right here where the hand shape isn't going to cover those. So let's go ahead and hold down Control, switch over to our direct selection tool, and we can come in and tweak this path up just a little bit. Just like so. I'll actually hold Control and Alt and break that Bezier free so we can create a corner anchor point there. And we'll just continue coming along in here and modifying our path. So you can see the benefit to using the direct selection tool, or switching to the direct selection tool rather before switching to the pencil tool, is very similar to the benefit of doing that with the pen tool. It allows you to modify the path as you're drawing it, essentially. So let's come over here and draw another path here. I'm going to kind of draw her shirt in sort of in chunks, if you will. Just draw in a section right about here, and we'll bring that up right there along that seam. And we'll bring that around and close that off. And we've got a few more chunks to draw here. Let's come in and hit her left shoulder here. Come in and bring a path off her shoulder. And again, I'm not going for perfection here. They're just wrinkles in a shirt, so we'll bring that over and close that off by holding down the Alt key. And then we'll come in here and draw in one more path. Following down around her left arm. Hit this nice cuff of this shirt right here. Not sure if this is a men's shirt she's wearing or not, but I think it really produces some really interesting wrinkles and nice visuals for this particular image here. Bring that on and around and up. Closing that path off. And great, we have actually drawn in all the shapes we need for the part of her shirt that is above the belt. Now, as far as the part below the belt, I'm actually probably going to end up replacing that with some pants of some sort to give her a little bit more of a fully clothed femme fatale type look here. But I tell you what, for just a moment, let's go ahead and jump out of preview mode here. Or out of outline mode, rather. And it looks like all these shapes I've been drawing have been just with a black stroke around them. So let's go ahead and just hold Shift and select all those. And then we'll use our eyedropper tool, sample one of these other shapes. So basically we've got kind of this hodgepodge of shapes going on here that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and hide the shirt base for right now. And let's go ahead and talk about color for just a moment. Now, we haven't really dealt with color until now. And for this person, yeah, you know, we have a lot of flesh tones here. And I want to come over to the swatch panel, and I want to go ahead and tear this off here. And we're going to float this down here below our layers panel for right now. I'm also going to come over here and we're going to click on this far left button at the bottom of the swatches panel. This is our swatch libraries in Illustrator. And there's a really handy one in here. If we go down here to the S's, you'll see there's one for skin tones. So we'll begin selecting our colors for the skin tones from this panel right here. Now you can see there's a lot of really nice colors here. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and just kind of snap that into the swatches panel here, and we'll come over here and unlock some of our layers, and let's go ahead and maybe grab her face. Let's go ahead and grab our appearance panel as well here. We're going to end up using that, so I'll float that out to the side here. I'll probably rearrange these here between lessons, get them a little more efficiently arranged. And I tell you what, let's go ahead and hit our X key to switch over to the stroke. We'll go ahead and get rid of that by hitting our backslash key. And let's go ahead and hit X again, switching back to the fill. And let's go ahead and grab one of these base flesh colors here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start applying color to some of these areas. Let's go ahead and select this one and use our eyedropper tool. It's the keyboard shortcut I to sample the shape we just made. And you can see here that those two shapes are starting to run together because they're exactly the same color and neither one of them have a stroke around them anymore. So you can see that applying base colors to our shapes is going to start to make them run together. So all the more reason to continue working in outline mode until we can tell our shapes apart. So let's go ahead and hit X here to switch over to our stroke. And I tell you what, let's go ahead and hit Shift X to switch the stroke and fill places. And then we'll go ahead and hit backslash to get rid of our stroke color. So we've essentially given her black hair here. And then I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and select that little portion of brassiere there, and we'll go ahead and sample that hair color as well. So now in switching back into outline mode, keep in mind that we've got a lot of areas here that really don't fit together very well, and we've actually got our shirt base that's split into 4 shapes. So I tell you what, in the next lesson, let's pick up where we're leaving off here and let's look at some ways that we can actually fit these shapes together just a little bit better to make this a little more seamless.